right, chat. Hello. Sorry, it's been a long ass day. Let's go. Yep. Karen Reed, day 22, part 2, chat. We got to get going from there, okay? So we're going to pick up where they left off. We got about half the day left. And then, we'll go from there. Just want to let you guys know where we are, okay? So let's get... oh, god dang it. It lost in my spot. All right. I think we're in the right spot, chat. We are going to get going here. Left off, you mean in Atlanta? Oh, no. Did you see? Oh, so I did not know this, but apparently, yeah, it sounds like the attorney who leaked it confessed. So, yeah, she's got a show cause hearing. It doesn't matter. The judge can do whatever he wants. He's fucked. Judge Glanville's done, guys. Judge Glanville, toast. He's toast. It's like Mission Impossible when they're in the CIA building. Toast. Toast. He's done. He's done. Trin says, no, she didn't. Well, then how did he find out? Who told? Because now he's accusing her, or is he just making accusations, Trenton? He's guessing? Okay. Well, I mean, to be fair, that's pretty much the best guess. So, anyways, we're going to start Carry On Red. Here we go. And make sure we're up on sound. Where we were, Carry On Karen Reed. There we go.
When you were in the driveway of Mr. O'Keefe's residence on February 3rd, 2022, you had occasion to make observations of Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle, is that correct?
Correct.
And what, if any, damage did you observe to the driver's side rear area of the vehicle?
I didn't observe any significant damage or any damage.
As far as the entirety of the vehicle, that was all photographed on that day by your friend, is that correct?
Yes.
And memorialized in those photographs that were just presented to you, is that correct?
Correct.
As far as your observations on that day or in those photographs, what, if any, damage did you observe to Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle?
I did not observe any damage.
Yes.
So there's another 8 photographs that I placed before you. Have you had a chance to review those?
Yes, sir.
And you recognize what's depicted in those 8 photographs?
Yes.
And what do you recognize those to be?
More photographs of Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle as well as the garage doors.
Madam, may I approach?
Yes.
I'll see if you introduce the next 8 exhibits.
No objection.
It's 5:55. Thank you.
Your Honor, with court's permission, if I could publish just a few of those to the jury as well.
Okay.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7779. And Trooper, do you recognize what's depicted on the screen now as exhibit 559?
Yes.
And if you could describe to the jury what we're looking at in 559.
It's the rear bumper area of Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle.
That's on the driver's side or passenger side?
The driver's side.
And what, if any, damage did you observe in that area of the vehicle on February 3rd when you were there?
No damage.
With respect, Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7780. That's one actual. And sir, do you recognize what's up on the screen and what's now been marked as exhibit 560?
Yes, those are the 2 garage doors of Mr. O'Keefe's house.
And what's contained up on that screen, is that a very accurate portrayal of what you observed in Mr. O'Keefe's garage doors on February 3rd?
Yes.
And with respect to those garage doors, what, if any, damage did you note or observe on those garage doors at any point when you were there on February 3rd?
I did not observe any damage to the garage doors.
Ms. Gilman, you can take that down. Now, Trooper Proctor, subsequent dates following February 3rd, specifically February 8th, 11th, and 18th. Did you have occasion to return to 34 Fairview Road on those days?
I did.
And you had mentioned a little bit about sort of changes in the weather. What, if anything, sort of evolved as far as the weather was concerned between the dates of February 3rd when you were there and February 8th, 11th, and 18th?
Yeah, as I mentioned, the weather pattern had kind of fluctuated from 30 degrees up to 60 degrees with a handful of days of heavy rain mixed in. So that caused a lot of snow to melt as well.
And with respect to each of those respective days of February 8th, 11th, and 18th, what, if anything, did you observe or recover, you and the other troopers that were present on those days?
Yeah, it was further evidence that was originally buried under the snow because of the warm temperature and the rain and the snow melting kind of revealed itself. More pieces of plastic, clear and red.
Now, with respect to the residents at 34 Fairview Road, each of these times that you were at the residence, including February 3rd, where in relation to the house were these items observed and recovered by you and the other troopers on those respective days?
So if you're looking at 34 Fairview, looking at the front of the house, it's to the left side of the property between like the flagpole and kind of the fire hydrant, that general area, the front and left of the property.
Now, with regard to these three subsequent dates, as far as February 8th, 11th, and 18th, these items that were observed and recovered on those dates, where were they in relation to the roadway? Where were they in relation to the hydrant, the flagpole, other sort of markers in the
I don't specifically remember exactly if they were around the flagpole because the CERT team had came and shoveled an area around. So that stuff had melted first because there was a lot less snow and then they created more piles. But as far as the general area was by the flagpole and fire hydrant, it wasn't like on the other side of the property. It was in that general area.
And just with respect to those items, were they generally found or were they specifically found either on the grass or the roadway area?
Grass.
Asphalt or grass is basically what
I'm sorry, grass area.
And with regard to each of those items that were recovered on those three successive dates, as far as February 8th, 11th, and 18th, did you bring those items with you to court today as well?
I did.
May I approach you on?
Yes.
You recognize that bag, sir?
I do.
What do you recognize that to be?
It's an evidence bag containing 3 smaller evidence bags.
And with the court's permission, if you could.
Hold on a second.
Thank you.
My apologies.
Go ahead.
With the court's permission, may the witness remove the 3 smaller bags from the larger bag?
Yes.
Trooper, if I could just, in succession, if I could ask you to please open the bag with respect to February 8th first. And before you do that, I apologize. With respect to that bag, what, if any, indication is there as to the contents there?
It says taillight, 1 large piece of plastic, color red, 1 small piece of red plastic, and 1 piece of black plastic. Located 34 Fairview Road, front lawn, left side.
Thank you, sir. If you could please remove those. Thank you, sir. You can place those back in the bag. I'm over to seek introduce you to the next exhibit.
Okay. Exhibit 563.
Sir, if I could ask you just to retrieve the bag that's marked, retrieve the bag of items that were seized on February 11th. And if you could read to the jury what the description is in regards to that evidence bag.
So it's 2 on the 11th. This one is described as glass fragments. You can't tell how many pieces. It's been taped over. The second bag from the 11th says 3 pieces of clear plastic, 5 pieces of red plastic.
And with the court's permission, may the witness remove those items from the back.
All right.
Smaller bag in here containing the glass. Cut that open as well.
I think that's sufficient.
All right, so Madam Clerk, are you moving to introduce it?
Yes.
Madam Clerk, is there any objection? We can go ahead and
I
open
want to
it.
object, but I don't expect that.
Go ahead and open it.
Yes, Your Honor. Right. These items appear to be just further on sealed up and wrapped up and
Do you want him to open every one, Mr. Jackson?
Yeah, approach.
Yes.
I can't see that far.
All right, so
No,
go.
I don't need a motion. No objection.
How many pieces are in there?
1, 2, 7.
The smaller bag will be 564.
Thank you.
The brown bag will be 564 and
Thank you.
containing 7 pieces.
Interpreter, if you could, the other bag from the 11th, if you could open that up and remove those items. Thank you, sir. If you could put those back in the bag. Your Honor, call multiple seats introduced in the minutes of the next exhibit.
It was 565.
And lastly, sir, with regard to the back from February 18th, again, if you could read to the jury what's indicated as far as the contents therein.
Several pieces of red and clear plastic.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, may the witness remove the
Yes.
items. Thank you, sir. If you could return those items to the back. And Your Honor, call multiple seats introduced in the minutes of the next exhibit.
No objection.
The
Exhibit 566.
Here's the original bag.
Now, Trooper, with regard to each of those items from February 8th, 10th, and 11th, excuse me, 8th, 11th, and 18th, those are all items that you recovered from the front lawn area of 34 Fairview Road. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what was just displayed to the jury is that essentially the condition that they were in when you recovered them on those respective days.
Yes.
Now, if I could turn your attention just briefly regarding the search warrants in regard to the ring video from Mr. O'Keefe's house. Was that one search warrant or more than one search warrant that you did in respect to those ring videos?
There was a second search warrant for the ring videos for Mr. O'Keefe's house.
And if you recall, what was the general time frame that was asked for in that warrant as far as from what date to what date?
The second one, I believe, was January 30th to the 3rd or the 4th, I believe.
Or was the first one essentially from the 24th to the 29th?
Yes.
Now, with respect to the video that you received in regard to the first search warrant to Ring, what kind of information did you receive from Ring as far as what beyond sort of the video itself? What, if any, other information did you receive as far as accounts or activity or anything like that?
It was just confirming that the user account was under Mr. O'Keefe's email, and then there was an Excel file where you kind of have to transcribe. So each video has about a 17-digit number associated with it, unique identifier. You take that 17-digit number, and you got to convert it using these Excel files to get the date and time.
Now, with respect to what you received pursuant to the search warrant from Ring, was there any kind of activity log? And what I mean by that, what, if any, information did you receive as far as what sort of devices or how many different devices were able to access that footage?
Yeah, I wasn't able to obtain a activity log of who was using the device, what device was accessing the system. Something, if someone logged in, was not provided with any record of who was logging in and what day or time.
Now, are you familiar with the term, just as far as videos are concerned, or electronic devices, what's referred to as a digital footprint?
Yes.
Now, with respect to some of these, or the Ring videos in totality that you received and that you also viewed pursuant to the app on Mr. O'Keefe's phone, were there certain time periods where you would have expected to see video in which there was no?
Yes.
And can you describe for the jury sort of when those time periods were?
So the Ring camera above Mr. O'Keefe's garage, pretty sensitive. So it does not have Miss Reed arriving back at Mr. O'Keefe's house around 12:34 a.m. is approximately was when she should have arrived. The only video, there's a gap from approximately 11:45 p.m. on the 28th to about 5:07 a.m. on the 29th when Miss Reed's backing out and never has her pulling into the garage. And there's also a second video of Miss Roberts, Miss McCabe, and Miss Reed looking at the broken taillight in the morning.
What, if any, follow-up or inquiry did you make of Ring in regard to those missing videos?
I inquired several different times as far as if the video is deleted, is there some type of a record?
That was his inquiry. But next question, I'll allow that.
Now, as far as that term that you used before, as far as a digital imprint, can you explain to the jury what you understand that term to mean?
Essentially, digital footprint is if a video is created, it's going to leave some type of a record in the archives.
And what, if any, information did you receive from Ring as far as their videos system is concerned in regard to a digital footprint?
Objection.
Not what anybody told you, but what you received.
That if a video is deleted,
Objection.
The objection sustained.
Move to strike.
I'm going to strike that.
Upon your further inquiry of Ring, were you ever able to obtain any video from those specific sections where you anticipated video would be?
no.
Now, sir, if I could turn your attention to January 16th, 2024. Do you recall that date?
I do not, sir.
At some point over the course of your investigation, were you made aware of forensic evidence in relation to the taillight housing that was introduced earlier as an exhibit?
Yes.
And with respect to that, at some point, did you have occasion to meet with the Sergeant Brian Gallerani of the Needham Police Department?
Yes.
And where was that?
In the DA's office.
And who, if anyone else, involved in this investigation, as far as yourself, was Sergeant Mechanic with you there as well?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did Sergeant Gallerani do with respect to yourself and Sergeant Mechanic on that date in January of 2024?
Sergeant Buchanan and I voluntarily provided our DNA for comparison testing.
And again, taking me to my next point, that was a voluntary decision that both you and Sergeant Mechanic made as far as availing yourself or availing of that particular test.
Correct.
And as far as the testing or the, you know how that was, or can you describe for the jury sort of how that sample was collected or how it was conducted?
Essentially, it's just a swab of the mouth under the tongue with like it's basically just like a little pad on a stick, and he gets swabbed, and that's how the DNA or saliva is collected.
And as far as those samples that were collected from both yourself and Sergeant Mechanic on that particular day, where did they go from there as far as you know?
It was my understanding they went to the Bodie lab in Virginia.
And I'm sorry, what I should have asked prior to that, as far as when they left from the room that you were in with Sergeant Gallerani, did you take those swabs, or did Sergeant Gallerani take those swabs,
No.
or where did they go?
Sergeant Gallerani took possession of those items.
Thank you. Now, sir, with reference, over the course of your investigation, you interviewed a number of different witnesses, correct?
Yes.
And from the witnesses that you, were there witness interviews that were conducted outside of your presence in the sense that you weren't there for those particular witness interviews?
Yes.
And each of the interviews that you're aware of, whether they were conducted by you or outside of your presence, were done, with the exception of the current ones, done with more than one trooper present, correct?
Correct.
Now, with respect to those witness interviews that you were present for, from the witnesses that you spoke with, along with other troopers that were present with you, who, if any, of those witnesses had you met, or did you know prior to the interview that you conducted?
Yeah, so all the witnesses that I interviewed, the only individuals that I know or had met prior to this investigation was Julie and Chris Albert and Colin Albert.
And how is it that you knew Julie Albert, Christopher Albert, and Colin?
So my sister, Courtney, her friend growing up, Jillian. Jillian's sister's Julie. My sister got to know Julie Albert, Julie Daniels, her maiden name, through her friend Jillian. Julie married Chris Albert. So my sister got to know Chris through Jillian and Julie. And then years down the road, my sister had Julie babysit my nephew. Julie would come from time to time and pick up my nephew from school. So that's how they kind of became friendly. And on occasion, they would be over at my sister's house or at my parents' backyard, Julie and Chris and their kid Colin, and I would happen to be there.
Let me ask it this way: as far as where did you grow up?
Canton.
And did you graduate from Canton High School?
Yes.
And as far as any of the witnesses that you interviewed, even the Alberts that you were just talking about, Christopher, Julie, and Colin Albert, were they around the same ages as you, or went to high school with you at the same time?
No.
How much older than you would Julie and Chris Albert?
At least 10 years.
And as far as Colin Albert, what's the age difference between yourself and him?
At least 20.
Fair to say around this time of January 2022, do you know how old Colin was, or what level of school he was at that point?
It was senior in high school, I believe.
Is that something that you learned through this investigation, or something that you knew independently?
Something I learned through this investigation.
Now, obviously, you grew up in Canton, and your sister did as well.
Yes.
And your sister's name is Courtney, is that correct?
Correct.
And what is the age difference between yourself and your sister Courtney?
She's 2 years older than me.
And how close are you and your sister?
She's probably one of my best friends. We talk about 5-6 times a day about anything and everything, as far as like mostly our children.
And she has, how many children does your sister have?
She's got 2.
And about how old are they?
10 and 7.
And you have children as well?
I do.
And how old are they?
2 and 4.
Now, with respect to the conversation that you have with your sister about 5 or 6 times a day, how do you have those conversations? Is it via voice call, or in person, or text, or if you know?
Everything, FaceTime, phone calls, text messages. We're always kind of keeping each other up to date on mainly our kids.
Now, as far as Julie and Christopher Albert, when did you interview them in relation to this incident?
Sometime in February. I'd have to look at my report for the exact date.
Sometime in, say, early to mid-February?
Yes.
And with respect to them, who, if anyone else, was present with you when you interviewed?
Sergeant Buchanan.
And do you recall where the interview took place?
Yes, I was at their home.
Now, prior to this date that you went over to interview Christopher and Julie Albert, had you ever been over to that house before?
No.
Had you ever been over to any home where Christopher and Julie Albert had resided then or previously prior to that date?
No.
Had Christopher or Julie Albert, to your knowledge, ever been over to your house?
No.
Now, with respect to Christopher and Julie Albert, and Colin Albert, will throw him in there as well, how would you sort of describe your relationship with them prior to January 29th, 2022?
I classify it as acquaintances.
All right. Mr. Lally, why don't we take our luncheon break?
All right,
You
Chad,
are
we're in the
muted.
middle of. I am drooling. Not yet. Gunmetal Wolf said, "I've never played this Hitman mission before." Yeah,
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
funny.
Counsel approach.
All right, Shadow, we are going to skip ahead. Let's see what we got. Uh-oh. Oh, they went on to break. They're going to keep going here. So we're going to skip it. They only had like a 45-minute lunch. Well, they had about an hour. All right, guys, we're going to skip ahead here. And then we're going to go from here, all right?
Just be mindful to step up and just remember to film.
Real quick chat at 7:30. I got to step away. I got a Zoom call with a client, potential client. And so I'll be away for a couple minutes. My apologies. But yeah, so far, just a yawn cast. Just a yawn-tastic thing by Lally.
So, jurors, before we begin, Mr. Lally, as you approach the podium there, when I tell you that I strike something from the record, I know I've told you before, that means you're not to consider it, okay? Go ahead, Mr. Lally.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
So, with reference to, before we broke, we were talking a bit about Julie Albert and Christopher Albert, correct?
Yes.
And how would you describe your relationship, if any, between Julie Albert and Christopher Albert prior to January 29, 2022?
Loose acquaintances.
People that you knew through your sister, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, with reference to the occasions that you had said where you may have been at the same place at the same time, at a family function or something like that, over what period of time are we talking about, and about how many different instances of that occurred over those years?
Like I mentioned, they had never been to my house. It was either at my sister's home or at my parents' house. I might have been at the same function half a dozen times.
And at those times that you were at the same function a half a dozen times or so, how much interaction would you have with either Christopher Albert or Julie Albert or even Colin Albert at those functions?
Just casual conversation, be cordial, and just typical conversations, hi, how's it going, things of that nature.
Now, with reference to these experiences or relationships, or lack thereof, that you had with Christopher and Julie Albert, what, if any, conversations did you have with your supervisors, as far as superior officers within your unit, in regard to this?
I explained the connection with my sister to the Albert family.
And who did you explain that to?
That would be Sergeant Mechanic, Lieutenant Fanning, and Detective Lieutenant Tully.
All right, Trooper, I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up, maybe approach the microphone a little closer.
And just with respect to those disclosures, what specifically did you tell either Sergeant Mechanic, Lieutenant Fanning, or Lieutenant Tully?
Basically, that the Alberts are my sister's friends. That I've been at some functions with them, and the only kind of connection with the Albert family is through my sister.
And just when you say the Alberts, as far as who specifically within the Alberts are you talking about that had a friendship with your sister?
Julie, Chris, and their son Colin.
Now, with regard to the investigation that you were conducting and the interviews that you conducted, what, if any, impact did those relationships have with regard to your interviews of them specifically, or the investigation in total?
Zero. Absolutely zero impact on this investigation.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Sir, I'm showing you a document. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what do you recognize it to be?
It's a text message thread labeled Proctor Friends.
Now, over the course of your investigation, over the course of this case, are you aware that there were iCloud data that was obtained from your personal cell phone
Yes.
and different text strings from that iCloud data from your personal cell phone, correct?
Correct.
And with respect to what has just been placed before you, is that an excerpt or piece from those particular messages?
It is.
And from the front page of that, can you tell the jury who are sort of the participants in this particular text communication?
There's several numbers that aren't identified. The three that are under kind of nicknames me and my buddies have for each other.
Generally speaking, just as far as the participants in this text communication, who are these people to you, and how do you know them? How long have you known them? Who are they?
The members on this text thread are close friends from junior high, first grade even.
So people you've known for years, is that correct?
Correct.
And do each of them live, or do any of them live within the general area at this time?
Some of them do, yes.
And so when some of them do, some of them do not, is that correct?
Correct.
And the ones that do not, how far away do they live?
As far away as Tennessee.
Now, with reference to this, there's an indication as far as the first message sent or last message sent from this particular text chain, correct?
I'm sorry, repeat the question, please.
Sort of towards the middle of the first page. Come direct your attention to that area. Is there any indication as far as the first message sent and the last message sent with respect to this text chain?
On the first page, yes.
And what is indicated as far as the first message and the last message?
The first message is, I need to brandish a gun more often. The last is, Chip, name of that BPD cop.
No, I'm sorry, sir. If I could direct your attention to the first page in this packet, page 2527, you see conversation details. Sorry, may I approach?
Yes.
If I could direct your attention to right.
Okay.
You see what I was talking about now?
I do, sir.
And from that area labeled conversation details, there's a first message sent, date and time, and a last message sent, date and time, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What is the first message sent, date and time?
It's 10/18 of 2021 at 8:48 a.m. The last message sent is 8/31/2022 at 11:19 p.m.
And is there also within that conversation details an indication as far as the number of messages over that time frame within this communication?
There is.
And what does it list for number of messages?
It's 38,707.
It's fair to say the packet that you have before you does not contain all 38,707 messages, correct?
That's correct.
The first message that you had, I believe, alluded to in reference to the first one listed within
Yeah,
this
guys, I'll
communication, what
be
date and
right
time is it?
back.
That was January 29th, 2022. My friend lives in Tennessee.
And what, if anything, did he send to the group?
I need to brandish a gun more often.
And if you know, what is that in reference to?
He just recently moved to Tennessee, and he was kind of, I think, making a joke as kind of the lifestyle down there where guns are more prominent or more common to be carried around there. So I interpreted that as a joke in that nature.
And the next message, sir, from that same page, 2527.
The next one is, it's bold.
And is there a name associated with that number that's in these?
No,
Do you know who that person is?
I don't.
And the next message, sir, from 10:52 p.m.
Chip, name of that BPD cop.
And Chip, who is that referring to, sir?
That is one of my nicknames I've had since maybe high school.
So a nickname that would be familiar amongst these group of friends in particular?
Yes.
And this time period when these text messages begin, sometime after 10:30 or 10:50 p.m. on January 29th, where are you and what are you doing in reference around that time period?
At this point in time, on the 29th, I'm home.
And that last text message, did you respond to that at approximately 10:53 p.m.?
Yes.
And what was your response?
John O'Keefe.
And the next message down from there, also at 10:53 p.m.?
Yes. He took custody of his sister's kids.
That's your response. There's another response above that, is that correct?
Yes.
And what does that say?
How old?
And you respond as far as he took custody of his sister's kids, correct?
Correct.
Skipping down a couple, you see an entry at 10:53:49 p.m.
Yes.
And that's from a 617 number, is that correct?
Correct.
And what is the response there?
Oh man, that's rough.
And following that, do you respond to the earlier query as far as age?
I do.
And what did you say?
Mid-40s.
Now, the next message below that, as far as indication of mid-40s, what is that?
His age.
No, I understand that. I'm sorry. The next message underneath that, sir.
I'm sorry. It's a Facebook link.
And do you recall what that Facebook link is to?
It's to John O'Keefe.
And is that something you sent or one of your friends sent?
One of my friends sent.
And the next message below, turning to now page 2529 at the top there, what is the next message that's sent?
What's that? Don't have the book anymore.
And as far as the book, what did you understand that to be?
Sure. A 10-minute break. Okay.
Doing all right, Mr.
So do you have that copy for me?
All right.
Proceed, Your Honor.
Yes.
Trooper, if I could direct you back to page 2529 within that packet before you. And below that text stating what's that, I don't have the book anymore. You respond, is that correct?
Yes.
And what is it that you say there?
This one is a nightmare. Forget about the kids. That's awful.
And sir, if I could direct your attention again within that same packet to 2532. And there's a message there sent at 10:56 p.m. Is that correct?
Yes.
And who's that from?
A friend who lives in Tennessee.
And what does he say in that text?
I'm sure the owner of the house will receive some shit.
And you respond at 10:56 as well as 10:57. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what is it that you respond?
My first response was nope. Homeowner is a Boston cop too.
And what, if anything, were you saying, or what was the purpose of that text in regard to the homeowner?
I was just letting him know that essentially Mr. O'Keefe is a Boston cop and the homeowner was a Boston cop as well.
Now, if I could turn your attention to 2533. And top of the page, sir, if you could read through that page as far as who's texting and what are they saying?
Again, for my friend from Tennessee and myself, I hope not, but I can't see it. I responded with, she waffled him. I looked at his body at the hospital. He was banged up.
Now, as far as the next text from a 781 number, what does that say?
Did he get beat up?
And you responded to that, is that correct?
I did.
The objection is sustained as to form.
What, if any, response did you provide to that?
Nope.
Objection. The objection was to form a question and answer.
I'll strike it.
Now, turning your attention to 2534. And from this page, sir, if you could, again, just read through as far as indicating to the jury who's speaking and what is being said.
From the start of the first text, so the owner of the house?
Yes.
So the owner of the house was a woman cop that beat him? That's what I initially thought after talking to Kean paramedic. Then I saw the guy.
And those last two are your responses, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, the following text messages are from your friends, is that correct?
Yes.
What do they say?
Bear, let's focus. What does she waffle to mean? What's the story? I responded, she hit him with her car.
And the she that you're referring to there, who is that?
Miss Reed.
Now, turning your attention to the next page, 2535. Again, if you could start at the top of the page and read through that page and just indicate to the jury who is talking and what is being said.
Okay. My friend in Tennessee states, okay, that's fucked up. I respond, intentional or not. Then another response, gotcha. He was frozen in the driveway and she didn't see him, question mark. That's another animal we won't be able to prove. And then I respond, they arrived at the house together, gone to an argument.
I don't speak out loud or out of turn.
The objection's overruled.
Your Honor,
But
if I could say this, there needs to be an identifier of who's speaking.
I understand what you think the mix-up is. So, Mr. Lally, go back.
Thank you.
Sir, if you could please, again, start at the top of the page and just indicate.
No,
as it goes.
just after the, gotcha, he was frozen in the driveway, correct, Mr. Jackson?
That's correct, Your Honor. Thank you.
I respond, that's another animal we won't be able to prove. I follow that up. They arrived at the house together, got into an argument. She was driving and left. 781 number responds with, what's the name of the Canton cop living in Canton, the other one involved.
And how do you respond to that, sir?
There's several other messages before I issue a response.
Objection again. Bottom of the page.
So it's not an objection, but Mr. Lally, why don't you point him?
So, sir, at the bottom of page 2535, you have a response. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what is that response?
They arrived at the house together, got into an argument. She was driving and left.
Objection.
So it's going to be a matter you can address on cross.
There has to be some accuracy. The reading of
So
this-
I understand. So Mr. Lally, why don't you go point for your witness?
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
hmm Okay. It's a HTML link, whiteout /Proctor iCloud /group chat Feb 2022. So you point out.
Can I see what you have for a second, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Lally, it's on there. Why don't you go show your witness? Why don't you just read it, Mr. Lally, and tell us who you attribute it to?
So, sir, what I'm asking you about is the bottom of page 2535, excuse me, 2535. You indicated 50th, correct?
Correct.
What did you mean by that?
That Miss Rita struck Mr. O'Keefe with her vehicle.
Now, sir, if I could direct your attention to page 2537. Now, do you see a response toward the bottom of the page from yourself, January 29th, 2022 at 11:04 p.m.?
Yes.
And can you read that response to the jury?
Yeah, but there will be some serious charges brought on the girl.
And what did you mean by that, sir?
That throughout the course of the day, we had compelling evidence that Miss Reed struck Mr. O'Keefe with her vehicle.
And you have two responses from friends, same friends, at the bottom of that page, 2537. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And what are those responses?
Keep your voice up loud, please. Trooper Proctor, jurors can't hear you.
Yes, Your Honor. Number ending in 5051. Got to be. I can only imagine what internal affairs of the BPD are trying to get out there. The second response, same number. She hot at least.
And turning your attention to the next page, 2538, at the top, if you could just read a series of responses from yourself, correct?
Yes, sir.
Read from those, sir.
Yep. So these came from me. From all accounts, he didn't do anything wrong. She's a whack job. CUNT.
Objection.
So don't spell it. You have to. So these are your words, Trooper Proctor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and say them.
Cunt. Yeah, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though. Though, no ass.
And sir, what is it that you were referring to there, or why would you text that?
These were, from all accounts, he didn't do anything wrong. Is talking about the homeowner, Mr. Albert. I had mentioned the compelling evidence against Miss Reed at this point indicated that Mr. Albert had nothing to do with Mr. O'Keefe's death. The rest of the unprofessional and regrettable comments are something I'm not proud of, and I shouldn't have wrote in a private or any type of setting.
Sir, at some point, if I could turn your attention to page 2540. And there's a photograph that's shared within this text communication, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And does it indicate who shared that photograph? From the prior page, possible.
The number ending in 5051.
And who is depicted in that photograph that was shared within the group text?
It's Miss Reed being escorted out of the State Police Milton Barracks.
And these are all from February 1st of 2022, around that time frame, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, sir, if I could direct you to page 2543. And sir, if I could direct you to the top of the page and ask you to read through that page, indicating who's speaking and what the content of those communications are.
Okay. Number ending in 4146. Question is that chick a smoke? Again, 4146 question mark. I respond EH. I respond again, nutbag, as Chief would say. I also respond with she's got a leaky balloon knot, leaks poo.
And what, if anything, is that in reference to?
Again, to misread some medical conditions there. Again, unprofessional comments I should not have made that I'm not proud of.
As far as attitudes expressed within these text messages and other text messages, what, if any, impact did that have as far as your investigation was concerned regarding this?
These juvenile, unprofessional comments have zero impact on the facts and the evidence and the integrity of this investigation. They said these are unprofessional comments, but they absolutely do not detract from the integrity of the investigation or the facts and evidence of it.
Your Honor, may I approach this retrieve?
Yes.
Now, Trooper Proctor, contained within, we've seen text messages amongst yourself and a variety of different people from that same sort of iCloud area of your personal phone, correct?
Correct.
And among those, are there communications that you had with members of the Canton Police Department?
Yes.
And how would you characterize, or what was the general content of communications that you had with members of the Canton Police Department?
One communication was to coordinate interview times for firefighters and police officers and to set up a conference room where those interviews could be conducted. Obviously, the presence of Canton detectives or any police officers were not going to be sitting in on these interviews. Another communication was to inquire of relevant security videos that are in the area. Their local department, they know the area very well, so I had reached out and asked if there's some good cameras in the area that I had of kind of interest in.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm showing you another document, just asking if you recognize that.
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize that to be, sir?
Text communications between my sister and I.
That's your sister Courtney, is that correct?
That's correct.
And similar to what I'd asked you about the prior packet, as far as a first message sent, date and time, last message sent, date and time, what is indicated on this first?
First message sent, date, time, December 10th, 2021 at 9:33 p.m. Last message sent, 8:30, 2022 at 8:48 p.m.
And 8:30, that's August 30th, is that correct?
I'm sorry, yes, August 30th, 2022.
And similarly to the other messages, is there an indication as far as how many number of messages were sent between yourself and your sister over that time period?
2,865.
And fair to say that the documents in front of you do not contain 2,865 messages?
Correct.
Now, just in reference to the first message on page 2662, the first page in this packet, do you see that from December 10th of 2021 at approximately 9:33 p.m.?
Yes.
And what does that indicate?
A text message from my sister.
And what does it say?
I called earlier, Dolph earlier, and Mom was puking in the background.
And do you recall what that was in regard to?
From the sounds of it, my mother had a stomach bug.
And sir, if I could direct your attention to page 2667. And these are text messages from January 29th, 2022, between yourself and your sister Courtney, correct?
Correct.
And if you could read from the top of the page through the end, and please indicate to the jury as far as who's talking and who's saying what.
So I texted my sister at work, "What's up?" She responds, "What? Why?" I respond, "I just found it frozen to death on a front lawn in Canton this morning. Actually just interviewed Jen McCabe, said she knows you."
And they knows you, who are you referring to?
My sister.
And how did your sister respond to that?
Cut the shit. I responded, "You." There's a typo correction with my response to you. She responded, "Yeah, she knows Jack very well. She's really good friends with Julie." My sister continues on. Her sister is married to Brian Albert. My sister asks, "You still working?" ? I says, "Yeah, going to be out for a while. Homicide."
And as far as your answers to those questions, or as far as your communications that you have with your sister at this time, on the afternoon of January 29th, what were those in regard to, or why were you communicating that to your sister?
At that time, it was just kind of in the news. I was just kind of letting her know I was out working. She didn't share anything specific. I wouldn't share anything specific on cases with my family or anyone. It was just kind of an overall innocent conversation.
Now, turning your attention to the next page, 2669. Again, if you could read from that page as far as who was talking and what the content is.
All right. My sister starts off, the Kent thing is a homicide. I respond, this is at 3 in the afternoon on the 29th. Don't say a word to anyone. She said, of course not. I respond, in the very least, it's suspicious. She responds, this is your livelihood. And then I would never miss with that. 3:07, I respond, Julie and Chris were at the bar with the victim and girlfriend. Got to interview them.
I'd like to direct your attention to page 2672. These are messages from February 1st, 2022. Is that correct?
Correct.
And the one at the top starts about February 1st, 5:57 p.m. Is that correct?
Yes.
And again, if you could read through as far as who's speaking and what the content of those messages are.
I texted my sister, what's up? She responded, nothing. I just saw Julie, and she said, when this is all over, she wants to get you a thank you gift. And I respond, get Elizabeth one. Elizabeth's my wife. And my sister responds, because I guess her and Chris were friends with John, and she's so proud of you for leading this. And then she writes, Elizabeth, question mark. I respond with, she's been stuck with the kids for the last 10 nights. My sister responded with, yeah, but she knew what life is like married to a cop.
And sir, as far as the gift that's mentioned, as far as Julie Albert, is that anything that you have received at any point in time?
I never received a gift. I never asked for a gift. My wife never received a gift. She never asked for a gift.
So how would you describe this context of this conversation, or why that's being discussed at this time?
Again, I don't know the thought process of my sister and Julie as far as bringing that idea of a gift into play. Like I said, I didn't ask for one. I never received one. The same with my wife.
Sir, if I could direct your attention to page 2676. And again, if I could ask you to start at the top of the page and read through and just indicate as far as who is saying, who is speaking and what they're talking about.
I start out, we write like 8 to 12 warrants on each case. My sister responded, no, I have no idea what the hell you do or how it works. I responded on the 10th at 7:36 p.m. I'm starving, but I also just want to go home. Thanks, though. My sister responds, yeah, but is dinner going to be waiting? She responded with, ha, ha, ha. And then I responded, yep. And then my sister responded with, okay, it's fine. Mom and I just don't want to go home.
May I approach, Ron?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm going to document, sir, if you recognize that.
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize that?
This is private messages between my wife and I.
Again, what is your wife's name?
Elizabeth.
And what, if anything, does that indicate as far as dates and times and number of messages involved?
Okay, so the first message sent 5/20/2022 at 6:19 p.m. The last message sent 8/31/2022 at 9:16 p.m.
And what, if any, indication does it give as far as number of messages within that text chain?
1,632.
And of those 1,162, there's one message that's listed on that. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what is the date and time of that message, and what does it say, and who's speaking?
This is me speaking on June 9th, 2022 at 4:56 p.m. I text my wife, waiting to lock this whack job up.
And what are you referring to in that text, sir?
I'm referring to the arrest after Ms. Reed was indicted by the grand jury.
And again, as far as the terminology that you use in that text message to your wife, why is it?
Again, unprofessional messages I should not have sent. I don't have an explanation other than they're regrettable and something I'm not proud of, the language I used.
May I approach the retriever?
Yes. All right, so Trooper Proctor, the jurors can't hear you. So speak directly into your microphone the way I'm doing, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Maybe for Johnson.
Okay.
Chat, I am sorry about that. Like I said, I was taking care of that. Hopefully, that's something I can talk about down the road. But for right now, no. What did I miss so far? Any of Proctor doing anything brilliant? Oh, Proctor talking about her calling a cunt and everything. Yeah, well, from what I heard when Proctor talked about all this shit, the women on the jury were horrified. So, yeah, those texts. I heard clips of the text already on Twitter. So, yeah, imagine if that guy's in fucking charge of things. Imagine that guy's in fucking charge of things. Yeah, he had to say, "Cunt, I clipped it. Please make an audio drop, please." All right, all right. You missed the leaky butts. Yeah, I heard. I heard those clips already. Kimbo says I get to pick a random subscriber from tonight's stream and will receive a random item from my basement. All right, I pick Neo Dark Matter. It's getting a random thing from your basement. How about that? Picked. All right, guys. Here we go. Let's get back to this.
Colleagues of yours at the within the same text communications from your personal phone with colleagues of yours at the state police.
Yes.
And Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Sorry. May I have a moment with counsel?
Okay.
Thank you. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Before on the document, sir. Before I get into that, though, if I could turn your attention back to some of the comments on the language used in the January 29th and February 1st or 2nd text communications among your friend group. With reference to to at that particular time frame and the language that you used. What sort of information had you gathered to that point, and why would you say or use that particular language in your, particularly in your descriptions of the defendant?
So this is, 16, 18 hours later, and we conducted multiple interviews.
Speak up.
Conducted multiple interviews. We knew Mr. O'Keefe never went into Fairview Road. We knew there was one shoe at the scene, one shoe at the hospital. Mr. O'Keefe, based off Mr. O'Keefe's injuries, Ms. Reed's statements when Sergeant Buchanan and I interviewed her, her broken taillight, the missing taillight, some taillight pieces found at the scene, the compelling evidence pointing directly at Ms. Reed that she struck Mr. O'Keefe with her vehicle led me to make those comments. Whether, like I said, they weren't professional comments, but based on the day's investigation, it was clear that Ms. Reed had struck Mr. O'Keefe with her vehicle.
Sir, if I could turn your attention to the documents before you, do you recognize those?
I do.
And as far as the participants in that particular conversation, who were the participants listed there?
It's Trooper David DeChico and myself.
And Trooper DeChico and yourself both work within the same unit with the state police, is that correct?
That's correct.
And beyond the professional relationship you have with yourself, between yourself and Trooper DeChico, how would you characterize your relationship, generally speaking?
We're buddies, we go off together, hang outside of work, our kids play together, so I'd say, we're friends.
Now, within the, again, as far as the first message sent, date and time, and last message sent, date and time within this conversation, if you could describe that for the jury.
First message sent, date and time, March 17th, 2022, 11:08 a.m. Last message sent, date and time, August 18th, 2022, 6:08 a.m.
And again, the number of messages listed within this text chain.
87.
And fair to say the documents before you do not contain 87 text messages, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Now, just in general terms, if you have an opportunity to just look at the first couple pages there, fair to say those are just sort of jokes that you have going back and forth between yourself and Trooper DeChico. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Now, if I could turn your attention specifically to page 2632. And these are text messages starting on April 28th, 2022 at 10:52 in the morning. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, what was the time again, sir?
April 28th, 2022, 10:52 a.m.
Yes, correct.
And again, sir, with reference to this page, if you could read the content to the jury and please indicate who is speaking at each respective times.
Okay. I said out without a doubt, he's got diarrhea of the mouth too. Trooper DeChico, rookie move, not going into a meeting with the ME and getting that homicide determination. I respond, Yuri and I had two conference calls with her, sent her numerous photos, etc. We laid out the entire case for her. Trooper DeChico responds, not good enough, should have had me or Jeff do it. I respond, if you two did it, she would have made it accidental or natural causes.
And can you explain the context of those communications, or what exactly is it that you and Trooper DeChico are talking about in that communication?
Okay, so the ME is the medical examiner. They conducted the autopsy of Mr. O'Keefe. Our office, it's kind of a little bit of a locker room.
Hold on, wait for the ambulance and then speak up. The jurors can't hear you way back where the court officer's standing.
So like I said, the ME stands for medical examiner. They conducted the autopsy of Mr. O'Keefe. I guess I'll address the conference calls Sergeant Buchanan and I had with the medical examiner. The doctor had some questions as to the facts and evidence, kind of what had transpired, which is common. Even if it's a homicide, I've had many calls with the medical examiner's office, even if it's a suicide or overdose. Always with a homicide, the doctor wants to know what transpired. Trooper DeChico and myself, we kind of like to bust each other's chops, go back and forth. So that's what he meant by saying rookie move, not going into a meeting with the ME and getting that homicide determination. The original determination came back.
Sustained. Next question, Mr. Riley.
Now, as far as attending the autopsy, is that something that typically someone within your office would do, within your unit would do with regard to any sort of death investigation?
Yes.
And do you know who attended the autopsy of Mr. O'Keefe in this specific case?
Trooper Connor Keefe.
And so as far as Trooper DeChico's reference to you not going in, or Sergeant Buchanan not going in, is that what you believe Trooper DeChico was referring to in that message?
Objection.
Sustained as to the form.
You indicated that you and Trooper DeChico bust each other's chops. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And can you describe a little more, expound upon that as far as the nature of your relationship and sort of the text messages that you exchange in this and then other communications that you have?
Basically just, kind of needling each other, and him doing that is by texting me, rookie move, not going into meeting with the medical examiner. So that's a perfect example of him kind of just needling me, which we do on a daily basis.
And as far as your interpretation of that, did you interpret that as a serious comment or something said in jest?
I interpreted that as a typical joke from Trooper DeChico.
May I approach the retrieve?
Yes.
May I approach your room?
Yes.
Showing you another document, asking if you recognize that.
Yes.
Do you recognize that?
Text messages between myself and Trooper DeChico.
And again, what is the first message sent, date and time, last message sent, date and time, and number of messages contained therein?
First message sent, date and time, April 28th, 2022 at 1:09 p.m. Last message sent, date and time, April 28th, 2022, 4:45 p.m.
And the number of messages, sir?
4.
And if you could read the contents of those messages contained there. Please indicate who's speaking.
So I started out, of course, it's undetermined. She was a whack job. Trooper DeChico responds, "Dear God, WTF, what the hell is inconclusive about the whole thing?"
And as far as your indication there, as far as she was a whack job, who are you referring to there?
Miss Reed.
Now, as far as the undetermined of what you're talking about, what is sort of the content or the context of this conversation?
That would be the manner of death was determined to be undetermined by the medical examiner's office.
And so I ask you again, as far as your reference there in the bottom of the first page, as far as she was a whack job, whom do you believe you're referring to there?
Again,
Reed or the medical examiner?
Miss Reed.
May I approach your honor?
Yes.
Dear Nick. Ah!
I'll take just a second, Phil. Maybe approach briefly and come back.
All right, skipping ahead.
They're handing you another set of documents. View those, look up when you're finished. Do you recognize those, sir?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize those to be?
Another text thread between myself, Trooper DeChico, and Trooper Kokowski.
And Trooper Kaskowski is another trooper within your unit in the state police, is that correct?
Yes.
And again, if you could read from the first message sent date and time and the last
Yep,
message sent date and time.
very true.
First message sent, date and time, 5/24/2022, 9:21 p.m. Last message sent, date and time, 8/24/2022, 4:56 p.m.
And as far as the number of messages indicated within this text chain between yourself, Trooper Kakowski, and Trooper DeChico,
494.
fair to say the documents before you do not contain 494 text messages, correct?
Correct.
Just in reference to that first page, 2635, first message sent, that's May 24th, 2022, around 9:21 p.m., is that correct?
Yes.
And that's a message sent from Trooper Kaskowski, is that correct?
Correct.
And what is that?
Appears to be a picture of a toy Santa Claus.
Now, sir, if I could direct your attention to page 2644. If I could direct you to the bottom of the page, sir, you see the text from yourself at June 9th, 2022 at 11:19 p.m.
Yes.
Very bottom of the page. And Your Honor, may I approach this to point it out?
Yes.
Yeah, I see it, sir. Okay.
If you could read what you wrote on June 9th, 2022, around that time, sir.
If you like women who shit themselves.
And again, sir, what is it that you're referring to there?
Again, a regrettable comment I made about Miss Reed's medical condition.
Now, if I could direct you to the following page, 2645.
A regrettable comment you made about her condition, you fucking faggot. Trooper Proctor, like in the proctologist. You like fingers up your ass, don't you, proctologist? Yeah, I guess, yeah. I'm sure he'd be like, well, I was regretful. Fuck you, you cocksucker.
And again, if you could read from that page as far as who is, indicate to the jury who is speaking and what is being said on page 2645.
I'm speaking right now. The statement she made tonight at 8/7 was mental. Thank Christ it was on BWC, which is body worn camera. Trooper Kokowski responds, that's her. Smoke. Trooper Kokowski again, what'd she say? I respond, said the Alberts beat the shit out of O'Keefe, left him for dead, and that's why her taillight was cracked. She's gross. Trooper DeChico, oh, fuck her, bitch.
Thank you, sir. Can I approach the retrieve, Your Honor?
Yes.
And sir, with reference to that last bit, as far as June 9th, 2022, what was going on that day in reference to this matter again?
Miss Reed was being processed at the Milton Barracks.
Thank you. I may have just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Can I approach?
Yes.
I'm going to give another set of documents to recognize those.
I do.
What do you recognize those to be?
Another text thread with members from my office, troopers.
And who are the troopers that are listed within that?
Trooper Chris Moore, Trooper Jeff Kokowski, Lieutenant John Fanning, Trooper David Chico, and Sergeant Willoughby Kennick.
And what is the first message sent, date and time?
That would be 5/26/2022 at 8:19 p.m. Last message sent, date and time, 8/26/2022, 5:36 p.m.
And what is listed as far as the number of messages within this chain?
651.
And fair to say the documents before you do not contain all 651 of those messages within this chain. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, sir, if I could direct your attention to page 2682. You see a message sent from Trooper DeChico on August 17th, 2022 at 9:42 p.m.
Yes.
And is that an image contained on the next page, which is 2683?
Yes, it is.
And what is the image of?
That is a picture of Mr. Yannetti, appears to be from quite some time ago.
Now turning your attention to the next page, 2684. And there's a response from you, August 17th, 2022 at 9:44 p.m. Is that correct?
Sorry, go the date and time again, please.
Sure. Page 2684, 8/17/2022, 9:44 p.m.
Yes,
You see there's like sort of three responses from you.
I have you now.
If you could just read the three responses from yourself, sir.
Okay, so these came from me. Funny, I'm going through his retarded client's phone. No nude so far. I hate that man. I truly hate him.
Now, with reference to the investigation at this point, you're talking about his client's phone. Who are you referring to?
Miss Reed.
And with regards to the phone at that point, can you describe for the jury sort of what's going on during this time period of August 17th, 2022 in regard to Ms. Reed's phone?
So after obtaining a search warrant for Miss Reed's phone, we weren't able to extract any data from it until August of 2023. Troopers in my office knew I was going through the phone that evening. I was most interested in location data, text messages, Google searches. That was the update I gave the troopers in the office. It was a distasteful joke. I should have gave a proper update instead of that. I wasn't able to go through the phone as thoroughly as possible because I came across some a text between an attorney and Ms. Reed, so I had to stop going through her phone, and I made my supervisors aware of those communications.
Now, just in reference to what you had just said, this is in August of 2022, is that correct?
Correct.
So after a search warrant is obtained for the defendant's phone, where did it go? You indicated you gave it to Trooper Garino, and where did it go from there?
Trooper Garino essentially hooks it up to a device called Grey Key, where it tries every possible combination passcodes in order to access the data contained in the phone.
And at that time, when you retrieved it pursuant to the search warrant, you didn't have the passcode to the defendant's phone, is that correct?
Correct.
So that device is designed to sort of go through numbers and try to find a combination to get into the phone, correct?
Correct.
And so from the time that you had seized it in late January or on January 29th, 2022, until this date in August of 2022, had you been able to get into the phone or see anything in the phone in those intervening months or 7 months between January and August?
No.
And so then at this time that you're sending this text message in August of 2022, is that around the time that you were first able to access the phone?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Yes, that was the first time we were able to have access to the phone.
And with reference to your access to the phone, were you looking for news or anything like that in regard to the defendant?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Like I stated, I was most interested in Ms. Reed's location data, text communications, Google searches, things of that nature. More evidence contained within the phone.
And so, sir, you mentioned at some point you came across some information that caused you to sort of freeze your looking through the phone. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so as far as that specific time period in August of 2022, when was the next time that you or any troopers from your office were able to actually look at any extraction of the defendant's phone?
So once I came across that text communication that took place on the 29th between Ms. Reed and an attorney, the phone had to be sent off to what they call a taint team to remove any attorney-client privilege information from the phone, and then it would be returned to us as well as defense received a copy of that as well. I'm not positive on the time. It was quite a long turnaround for.
Chat, do you hear that? Hella heard the word taint. I'm sure Hella was just sitting. Well, what time is it in Australia? It's like 9 a.m. in Australia, and Hella's like, "You guys said the word taint." I'm sure she's like, "I've been summoned." Oh, here we go.
that process to be completed.
Sometime at least in the spring or summer of 2023. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right.
May I approach the retrieve, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you, Brewberries. Brewberries, like,
Yeah, one-
actually, it's 10 a.m. I was pretty close.
Moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, so I'm going to see you at sidebar so I don't interrupt your cross.
Uh-oh, Chad. I don't know if we're gonna... She's like, how long you fuckers gonna take? So...
Most it will be half an afternoon or something maybe on Friday, but it does now look good that we'll be able to continue with this. We're out tomorrow, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday will be full days.
Wait, so there was no court today? Did I get that right? There's no court stream today? Am I wrong? It's like that song goes, oh, am I wrong?
Most it will be half an afternoon or something maybe on Friday, but it does now look good that we'll be able to continue with this. We're out tomorrow, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday will be full days.
Oh, damn, I thought we were fucked. I thought we fucked, chat. No, it's no court, it's tomorrow. Correct, no court. Thank you, Charlie. It's like the Simpsons thing. Who could prevent forest fires? You selected you, referring to me. The correct answer was you. So we're gonna hold off on the YSL stuff because there's stuff to do there. But anyways, we're gonna go, chat. Here we go.
And we'll be able to keep moving. All right.
Here we
All right,
go.
Mr. Jackson, go right ahead.
I'm limbering.
Super Proctor, in the summer of 2022, August 17th specifically, you were sitting at your desk, presumably alone at your office, at about 10 p.m. at night, going through my client's personal cell phone, correct?
Yes, sir.
You masturbated, didn't you? He probably did.
As a matter of fact, you were sitting there texting with your friends and colleagues at Massachusetts State Police about you going through her personal cell phone. Is that right?
Correct, sir.
And that included Trooper DiCicco, is that right?
DiCicco, yes, sir.
Trooper Fanning, Trooper Butnick, Trooper Moore, and Trooper Kutzkowski.
Kakowski.
Tell me that again.
Kakowski.
Kakowski.
Yes, sir.
All right, all the consonants are silent. Fair enough. Trooper Fanning and Trooper Butnick are your supervisors.
Yes.
And you were bragging to all 5 of them that you were going through Karen Reed's cell phone about 9:45 at night.
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Is that right?
No, I wasn't bragging, sir.
How did you refer to Ms. Reed in that text exchange where you informed them that you were going through her phone?
I use regrettable language. I said it going through his retarded client's phone right now.
You were shown a photograph of my colleague, Mr. Unetti, correct?
Yes.
Can I approach?
Yes.
Same document. Your Honor, I think the court has the copy that I was going to use.
I thought I gave him back to you.
You'd received a photograph. Actually, Your Honor, if I could, I would ask that this document be marked as next in order. Assuming the witness verifies its authenticity.
So go ahead.
Do you recognize this document?
I do, sir.
Same document that you were shown, copy of the same document that you were shown by Mr. Unetti, correct?
Still Lally.
I've done that twice. Mr. Lally.
Correct.
All right. Is that a true and accurate reflection of the text messages that you were exchanging with Chris Moore, Jeff Kakowski, John Fanning, Vito DiCicco, and Yuri Buchanan?
Yes.
I'd ask that this be marked.
Okay, any objection?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'll see you at sidebar. May I have that, please?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, chat, we're skipping ahead here. Hey, Jeff, how you doing? It's actually a real physical phone. What's the bomb? Do they end on a bomb? Oh my God. All right, here we go.
May I inquire now?
Yes.
Trooper Proctor, Trooper DeChico had sent you a photograph of my colleague, Mr. Yannetti, correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, because of the technical issue, I'm not going to display on the television. May I display this hard copy briefly? Sure. Thank you. You see that, gentlemen?
I do, sir.
Is that the photograph that you received?
Yes.
Is that what you referred to on direct examination with Mr. Lally about receiving a photograph from Mr. Yannetti?
Correct.
And then your response was what?
I hate that man. I truly hate that man.
Actually, your response was, I'm going through his retarded client's phone right now, correct?
Yes, after the picture, sir, yes.
Who's the retarded client?
I was referring to Miss Reed, again, unprofessional language.
I'm asking for who you're referring to.
Miss
I know
Reed.
You got an explanation. Who was it you were referring to as retarded?
Miss Reed.
Karen Reed,
Wow.
the woman sitting to my left.
Yes, sir.
The subject of your investigation as a professional, correct?
Yes, sir.
As an unbiased, objective investigator, the person that you were investigating, you referred to your bosses as retarded, correct?
Again, poor language on my part.
Poor language is one way to put it. Completely offensive is another way to put it, right?
Objection.
I've got to sustain that, Mr. Jackson.
After you referred to my client as retarded, then you decided to make a comment about Mr. Yannetti, her lawyer, correct?
Correct.
And what did you say about Mr. Yannetti again?
I hate that man. I truly hate that man.
I hate that man. I truly hate him,
Mhm.
correct?
Correct.
You didn't say I dislike him, disagree with him. You said
I'd have been like, Officer Proctor, do you hate the Constitution? Do you hate the Sixth Amendment? What a fucking faggot. Faggot ass Michael Proctor. I hope you watch this. You're a faggot, Trooper Proctor.
hate him, correct?
Correct, sir.
That's a visceral response to someone who's just doing a job, correct?
Objection.
Sustained. You can ask it differently.
Sure. Let me ask it this way. Were you upset or annoyed or pissed off that Karen Reed had gotten representation, legal representation, to represent her?
No, not at all. That's her right.
Doesn't sound like it.
Well, let me ask you this. In August of 2022, you said you absolutely hate it, correct?
I don't know if we use absolutely. Yeah, I didn't use absolutely, sir.
You used truly, correct?
Truly, yes.
How do you feel about it now? You're sitting right there.
I still don't care for him, no.
I'll let it stand.
What did you tell your colleagues
You know, it's just like, look at me. Look at me, motherfucker.
that you were looking for as you sat at almost 10 p.m. at night on a Wednesday night, August 17th, 2022, looking through Karen Reed's phone?
I didn't tell them I was looking through anything. They knew I was going through Miss Reed's phone. I provided a inappropriate joke as an update. They knew I was going through location data, text messages, Google searches. But like I had mentioned earlier, I had stopped.
Except Trooper Proctor, none of that really professional sounding stuff ended up in your comments to your bosses, did it?
Again, it was a poor joke.
Is that yes or no?
They did not know.
It did not.
No,
As a
sir.
matter of fact, what did you write after you talked about going through the quote retarded client's phone?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No nudes so far.
No nudes so far, correct?
Correct.
And you said that to your bosses.
Yes, sir.
You were looking for naked photographs of Miss Reed on a Wednesday night as you sat in your office at 9:44 p.m., correct?
No, not correct.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever looked for naked photos of a male suspect that you were investigating?
I don't look for naked photos on anyone's phones.
But you said you were looking for nudes of Miss Reed,
Like I
correct?
said, Mr. Jackson, it was an inappropriate joke.
So this is a citizen. She's a woman. You were supposed to be objectively investigating. Does your text message to your colleagues at Massachusetts State Police reflect an objective investigation of a citizen?
Objection.
You can get part of that question and ask it again.
do you believe that your text messages were reflective of an objective investigator?
Objection.
I'll allow that. Do you believe that, Trooper Proctor?
I believe poor jokes have, in unprofessional language, have no bearing on the integrity and the facts and physical evidence of this case.
It's not that they don't have any bearing on the facts and integrity. It's that they have no place in a professional investigation because it shows bias, right?
Objection.
So I have to sustain that as asked. Go ahead and ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
You weren't so much objectively investigating Karen Reed as objectifying her, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
Isn't that right?
Rephrase the question, please.
You weren't so much as objectively investigating her as objectifying her in those moments, correct?
Again, Mr. Jackson, it was a poor choice of words and a joke that I should not have texted out. But from the start of the investigation, we didn't know what we had.
And your, Trooper Proctor, your point in saying no nudes so far to your colleagues in Massachusetts State Police was to suggest that you were looking for nudes and you'd update them when you found them, correct?
Incorrect.
Well, let me ask you a question. Did you find any nudes of
Again,
Karen Reed?
I didn't go through the photo, sir.
Did you find any nudes of Karen Reed?
I didn't go through the photo, sir.
You weren't successful in your quest.
I came
If you're
across
doing it,
text messages from Miss Reed to another attorney on January 29th, so I had to stop looking through her phone.
So you got sidetracked before you could get to the naked pictures of Miss Reed. Is that what you're saying?
Sustained.
To be clear, when you sent those text messages on that group chat, those text messages included, as we said, or as you said, not one, but two of your supervisors, correct?
Correct.
Were you ever reprimanded for your conduct in sending that text message?
Objection.
So that's sustained. Do we need to go to sidebar based on what you told me earlier?
We do not.
Okay, so,
I'll ask it a different way.
okay.
Did either Trooper Fanning or Trooper Buchanan dress you down in a responsive text message in that text thread for doing something so abhorrent as looking for nudes or referring to nudes of a female suspect or subject of your investigation? Did that ever happen?
Not that I can recall.
As a matter of fact, in reference to one of the text messages in this same string, your boss, Yuri Buchanan, actually responded to the photo of Mr. Yannetti, didn't it?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
He did, sir.
After you received the photo, that's when you said, I'm, quote, funny, I'm going through his retarded client's phone. Is that right?
Objection.
Allow this, but not too many more.
Sure. Is that correct? It's on the top of page
Yes, sir.
685.
That's correct.
And Yuri Buchanan liked that comment. Funny, I'm going through his retarded client's phone.
I see you laughed at an image here, sir. I can't tell if he liked that comment, sir.
May I approach?
Yes.
I don't know if it just gets faded or, yeah, my copy's faded.
Top 2685. You can use my copy if that helps.
All right. Thank you.
What do you see on the top of that page?
Sergeant Buchanan liked it.
Like what?
The going through his retarded client's phone, sir.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'll take my copy.
There you go.
So your supervisors at Massachusetts State Police not only didn't ride you for making comments like this, he encouraged it.
Objection.
Sustained.
Trooper Proctor, this is your direct chain of command. Is that right? Yuri Buchanan?
Yes, sir.
Did you believe that your conduct was a misuse of your authority and power as you were going through her phone in August of 2022?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No, I had a warrant signed by a district clerk, Stoughton District Clerk, to go through Ms. Reed's phone. I don't think it was an abuse of power. I had every right to go through that phone.
Did the warrant say anything about looking for nudes of my client?
Objection.
Did it
No,
say anything about that?
no, Your Honor.
Okay, next question.
So that would be an abuse of the power that was given to you by the court, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Trooper Proctor, you'd agree that the hallmark of any good investigation, as you've been taught and others in Massachusetts State Police have been taught, is that the investigation and the investigator have to be fair. They have to be impartial. Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Meaning that the investigation has to be free of conflicts, right?
Yes, sir.
The investigator has to be free of conflicts, right?
Yes,
The investigation has to be free of bias. Is that right?
correct.
You can't be biased against the person that you're investigating. That would compromise the entire thing, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Basically, You follow the evidence. You're supposed to follow the evidence wherever it takes you, right?
Correct.
Good or bad, top to bottom, just follow the evidence and report it back. That's how an investigation is supposed to be run, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And these are things that you learn early on at Massachusetts State Police Academy and then in your detective training. Isn't that right?
It is.
Literally, it's part of an oath that you took at the academy that you will, quote, faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all of the duties incumbent on you as a Massachusetts State Police trooper, right?
Yes, sir.
You swore that oath.
I did.
When you start an investigation, everybody in that investigation should be treated exactly the same. Don't you believe that's true?
Correct.
Everybody, have you ever heard the phrase, everybody's a suspect until they're not? Right?
Objection.
Sustained.
It's especially important early in an investigation before all of the facts are known that the investigator is not compromised by bias, prejudice, right?
Correct.
Most important early in the investigation, because that's when the most things are up in the air. There's the cloud, the fog of not knowing exactly what the truth is, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
In other words, Trooper Proctor, you don't get to pick a suspect and then try to find evidence to support your choice, right?
Correct.
But in this case, it's exactly what you did, isn't it?
Absolutely not.
All right, Mr. Jackson, why don't we end for today?
This is
Okay.
as good a place as any. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. All right, so folks, we're off tomorrow. Those same three cautions, please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, read anything about the case, please disregard it, let us know. We'll see you Wednesday morning. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right now, it's anticipated will be full days of testimony with short. Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right, jury out.
This was very, 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 very good work. That was very good work.
All right, so one last time at sidebar for scheduling, okay?
That was very good work by Alan Jackson. I mean, Proctor looks like a fucking scumbag. I mean, like, there's no way if I'm sitting there in this part of the courtroom, I am fucking confident at all with what happened today. Trooper Proctor's an absolute fucking piece of shit, chat. Holy cow. So, yeah. So, yes, Gunmetal Wolf says, yeah, this Hitman mission. Lone Alaskan is a new member. Thank you. The Pie Baker for $5 says, hey, Sean, how was that visit to the Recada's bathroom? I'm about to cook dinner for the kids. Got any recipe suggestions on how to cook pugs? Oh my God, guys, I will tell you this much. If he ever shower calls me, I will save that for the internets. Chugi Show said Josh had people thinking in an update on the footage. Nope, he just got Starlink. Well, there's also an update on his case, though. Russell Greer got the fucking case transferred back to Utah. I don't fucking understand it, but whatever. Duncan says, I've now watched this part of the trial 3 times. I think I might have come down with a touch of the tism. Just a bit. There is no part way. You know, there's no such thing as a part-time crook. Duncan says that this trial results in a guilty verdict. I will have to withdraw from watching trials in the world in general. There is no part of this case without a gaping hole or balloon not in it. Yes, this is fucking disgusting. Imagine that an officer made. And by the way, Duncan, thank you for the super chats, and Pie Baker and Chewy, thank you for your super chats. Absolutely fucking disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. How did the fuck did he get transferred back to Utah? Because the courts don't care. Mystery Sniper says, yes, Proctor fucked all the other cases he's involved in. And there are attorneys on, there are Massachusetts attorneys who went on Twitter today saying, I'm filing motions in my case with Proctor. Proctor's an investigator. I filed stuff. So there are, yeah, there are a lot of things going down there. Hey, someone tagged you in under any cost post. I think he wants some lawyers to come on his show to clown the Atlanta judge. Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, fuck yeah, I'll go on and hang out with him. I mean, he's a drill instructor though, so he's gonna be like, "Wow, you're fat." So, um, oh, people are asking for um okay, yeah, thank you. Somebody I just saw that, yeah. He no, yeah, I see that there. I clicked on it. Hmm. Yeah, hold on guys, here. I'm responding to this. Maybe I'll get on there. All right. Um hold on here, chat. Sorry, there's a bunch of people talking. Who's Brian Walsh? Like, I know there's like John Walsh. Dead Air Kimosabi. Sorry, guys. I was in the middle of wrapping that up. Who was the cops' beef with that lady? They're just they they when they think you're the bad guy, they think you're the bad guy and they're willing to come after you. That's just how that goes. Um um so I mean I don't know. I mean, sure they're like a brother and boo type thing maybe, but I don't know. We don't really know. I'm sure like at this point he really can't say shit. Um oh shit. More went down in wow. Okay, we're gonna cover this here. Green. So this apparently fucking happened. So Copeland, the guy who talked, the guy who got the fifth, his attorney has to approach, the prosecutor followed up, and then when the defense attorney showed up, the judge said, "You don't belong up here." Whoa. So good job on them. Good job on them. That's that's not good, chat. That's not good. You know, remove their immunity. He won't lose his immunity. He won't lose his immunity because he's acting on the bench. Yeah, would you be comfortable with your murder investigator charging you? There's no clip, chat. There's no clip of it. Did I go over the judge's motion in the YSL trial? Not yet. I was thinking about doing a live stream in a couple minutes about that. Not in a couple minutes, but like, I don't know, starting at like 9:30 or so, covering that because there's some updates. Let's see here. She's not having any inconstancy in court. I'm sure make sure she's medicated up for that. Mega Bobas says, I'd love to see Sean fly down to Texas and go on unsubscribe. That'd be an epic show of autism. Oh, I think that'd be a lot of fun. A fan electrician, I think we get along great. We talk about a lot. I think it'd be funny. I think I'd probably break one of their chairs though if I did that. Yeah, Proctor didn't have time to burn that phone. Yeah, he did. The descending guy fired his lawyer. Yes, his lawyer said her client fired her. She's no longer on the case. Judge said no. There's that problem too. And well, here's the thing though. The judge says you're still there. Yeah, it's all kinds of issues. Is there any update on the Baldo body cam footage? It's still, guys, it was going to be 3 weeks, and that was like a week and a half ago. So take your pretend, you know, here's the brake pedal. Take your foot and go. I need you guys to pump the brakes, okay? Just relax. It's out there. We're going to get it. Do you have the newest motions from Ryan Steele? Yes, I do. I've seen them. Bangy Cops contact me. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I think that'd be fun. I do like his shit most of the time. I do like he does the whole like, then it comes out. That's always funny. Especially when he's got like a beard on and he shaves it. And I think it's funny because people tried to fucking A-Rock him and dox him before. And he's been able to fight back. So that's always nice to see. It wasn't the phone being burned. They got his iCloud. I thought the word was next week. Well, next week would be about 2.5, 3. They said the very nice lady at the sheriff's office told me about 2 to 3 weeks. And next week would be about 2 to 3 weeks. Anubis says, I bet the Atlanta judge wishes he pumped the brakes. I don't know. He's fucking lashing out at everybody. Like, I don't know if he thinks he knows he could stop yet. I don't know if he knows he could stop yet. That's a big problem. It's a very big problem. So we're going to do some updates on the Brian Steele stuff and the Young Thug stuff tonight. I'm probably going to start like 9:30, guys. We'll do that and get going from there. Minnesota, nice. Yeah, you betcha. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think he I think he's just going to keep going and going and going and going and going and going and going. So I don't know if he's going to stop. Maybe he doesn't think he's done anything wrong, or maybe he's just, it's in too deep. We're going to keep going. An hour break for second dinner. I haven't even had lunch today. I am a hungry boy. And EDW Raptor says, we're going all night, chat. Join us. They got the extendo. No. Have I ever seen AC dress down a judge? No, but AC has to be careful. There's a big problem because Glanville is currently a member of the U.S. military. Like, he's a brigadier general. I don't know how he has to be careful. Like, I think he needs to be careful about that. I don't know if he knows that. If that affects anything he does. Alyssa says, when does the Court of Appeals come in? They're going to be coming in very quickly to show up on him. Very quickly. So. Oh, hold on here. What is... I have peanut butter probiotic dog treats for you to eat, Sean. I'm good, thank you. Feed those kids, Sean. They smell and need clothes. Clyde looks hungry. Yeah, Clyde's always hungry. Am I streaming tomorrow? Yes, I will be, but I got court in the afternoon, so not right away. In EW again. Can you read a Bible story to us tonight and tell us what it means in the most inappropriate way possible? No, I don't blaspheme. I don't do that kind of shit. And that's just, like I said, stuff Nick has done, I don't agree with, but that was absolutely fucking disgusting. That's not the story of David. The story of David is about the wages of sin, and that David was a complete scumbag and a horrible, horrible man that God punished for his wicked ways until David humbled himself before God and sought forgiveness. That's how that worked. Just saying. The Court of Appeals will burst in like the winged hussars. They're pretty much... The Court of Appeals is going to plow through that. They're going to come through the roof like a Santa Claus from hell. That's going to happen. Legal Vice is what the shit? He's a brigadier general. Yeah, he's the army. He's the presiding judge for the army for the Armed Forces Court of Criminal Appeals. So yeah, yep. Clip that I'm sending this to Nick. Fine, good for him. Can maul and seethe more. Practicing attorney and practicing Christian. I'm sure that'll get Nick fired up. Oh no, David blamed a lot of people. He got people killed and did all kinds of horrible shit. But in the end, he got right. Let me see here. So, court stream, yeah. Wait, hold on. Where the heck, you guys? If I was court martial, I would not be presiding over it. What I end up doing the Sonichu bag, it's sitting somewhere, but I'm not touching it. I'm figuring out what to do. All right, guys. So I'm going to take the break. 9:30, we'll start back up and go through what's going on, and go from there. So, until then, guys. Until next time. Just because Karen Reed may have done it, she's still not guilty, guys. I am not convinced she did this. Not at all. So, good night, everyone. Take care. See you guys in about an hour. Bye.